For today's review, we are looking at the Yuji Itadori figure from Jazwares' new Total Anime figure line. So this line released at the end of August. It's still relatively new, even though it's been quite a few months since then. But I mean, it is a new line, okay? And it looks like it's competing with anime heroes. That's what it feels like to me. Because these figures cost a little bit less than an anime hero figure, and they include more accessories than the anime hero figures in general. Some of those anime hero figures do not include much accessories at all. Maybe just one or maybe zero. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But I found this guy at Ross and I was like, you know what? For $14.99, that's not a bad price for a figure like this, especially with what is included in the box, because there are Marvel Legend figures that do not even include much. Same thing with McFarlane, and they charge, more money nowadays. So, yeah. With that said, let's look at the packaging, because the packaging for this is pretty cool. Well, not exactly. It's just, your usual box. But it is a big window box that shows the figure and the accessories, like some of the accessories that you can see in the box. So like the face plates and stuff. So I do like that they have this window, which is cool. Then you have a anime profile of the main character himself from Jujutsu Kaisen. And on the bottom, it says streaming on Crunchyroll, of course. Then you have the number. So it says 03. So that means he's the third figure in this wave. And on the back, you have a render of him, which, yeah, it looks kind of weird. The figure looks better than the render. And you have a price tag that says Ross, $14.99, so it's not bad. One thing I do want to point out is that the prices are different for some reason. So before I heard that this figure was at Ross, they said at the, I believe it was in SDCC, they said that in retail, these figures will be $16.99. And on Amazon, it would be $19.99. I have no clue why there's like this price difference, why it's like a $3. Okay, $3 different. Let me try to speak. Than the online. I have no clue. So, but yeah. So there's that whole thing. And on the bottom of the box, it says collect them all. So you have Eren Yeager, Chainsaw Man, Deku, and of course Anya from Spy X Family. I do want that Chainsaw Man figure, because I will say this: whatever they're doing it right in this line. Because the Chainsaw Man figure, for example, he has interchangeable arms with his chainsaw blades. So one is like bloody, but then the other one is even more bloodier. And the anime hero version of Chainsaw Man has no accessories. No blood on the chainsaw. It's not even painted. It's literally just like clean. And yeah, that just shows the difference between what Jazwares is doing with what Bandai is doing with their budget and anime figure line. So this sounds like it is supposed to compete with that. I'm just making that assumption. So, okay. Now that we looked at the packaging, let's look at the figure and its accessories. We'll start with the accessories, of course. So this figure does come with some cool effect accessories like this, which is pretty cool. This goes on his fist hands. So there's a long one. Then you got a smaller one, which is pretty cool. And then after, he does come with two interchangeable faceplates. So I have one of them on there, but in the packaging, this was the one on his face. And I'm not a fan of this faceplate because it just makes him look like he's scared for some reason. Like he's just like, he doesn't know what to do. He's panicking. And then you have this expression, which I haven't actually put on the figure yet. So I don't really know if this is supposed to be like an angry expression or something. But we're going to find out later when I do change the faceplates. And then, of course, you have this faceplate, which has the mouth. That is Sukuna's mouth that opens on his cheek if you watch season 1 of the anime. And then, of course, you have grabbing hands. That's what I like to call these. I don't really know what these hands are for, but they're there. And then you have 2 open hands, but what I like about one of them is that it's painted with Sukuna's mouth thing, whatever he does with his hand. So there's that. And then there's a plain open hand. So, yeah. And then last but not least, you get a basic figure stand, which is very nice because usually a lot of these companies will not give, a stand at all for a figure, but it's nice that Jazwares is including them. So yeah. But that's all the accessories that he has, which that is a good amount of accessories. It's all he needs. And you have 4 sets of hands, including the ones on him. So that's like 6 pairs of hands that he can swap out in total, right? Like you don't have to have both fist hands on him. You can have 1 fist hand, 1 open hand, 1 grabbing hand. However you want to display this figure. So yeah. All right, let's look at the figure himself. The head sculpt, it doesn't look bad. It looks really close to what he looks like in the anime, and I want to say that this line really does surprise me a lot because when I took this figure out of the box, I already jumped into articulation just to see how good they articulate. It's pretty good. I mean, compared to like their Halo stuff, which I do have like some of the Halo figures, this has better articulation than those Halo figures. It is crazy how those figures feel so behind in articulation, methods. And then this one is just like they literally paid attention to what other companies are doing and tried to do their best with it. Now, there is one thing that I wish they did improve, and I'll point that out later in the articulation section. So for aesthetics, he is painted really nicely with this like I don't want to say it's shading, but if you look at his like uniform, there is like some black paint on it to look like shadows. So he wears like, a very plain uniform. They all do in the anime where it's like one type of color. So, the colors are going to look the same throughout the whole body. But I like the wrinkles and I like the attention to trying to make it look like it's cloth. And on top of that, the shoes are very nicely painted. So it's simple, right? The design for Yuji has always been simple. He's never really like look complicated. So that's all I'm going to say about the aesthetics because there's really nothing else going on here with the paint. This back part, I have no clue what this is. I think everybody that I've seen reviewed these figures have said that this back part might be for something in the future, for like a stand or something that can peg onto his back so you can get him into some poses. I don't know. But yeah, that's there for some reason. That I think all the figures have that. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, let's jump into articulation, which this is the part that's interesting to me. So he does have the ability to look up. He can kind of look down, but this piece gets in the way. He can look side to side. His neck also has articulation inside, so it is a double articulated articulation for the head and the neck piece, which is really good. He does have somewhat of a butterfly joint inside his arm, but the problem is because this entire uniform piece is really like a soft PVC that covers the inner frame, you're not going to really use that butterfly joint too much. Like it can, move side to side like this, but it's not going to really like get him out there doing crazy poses. He does have rotation up here by the shoulder. You can see that. Let me try to show it moving. It's kind of stiff, but yeah, it moves. He does have double joint. Now, this double jointed arm is kind of stiff on mine for some reason. I think on this side, it's a little bit better. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. So it does move. He does have rotation in the hands. This is a peg hinge combination. So it pegs in and there's like a articulated, like, you know, kind of hinge, not a ball joint. So that's fine. His torso up here moves forward okay. It kind of crunch forwards all right. Crunches back okay. Can rotate. So that's good. And he does have waist rotation. It's covered by this piece down here. So, you know, you can rotate that there. So, yeah, better articulation, like I said, than their Halo stuff. And on top of that, he has drop-down hips, or whatever it's called. So his legs right here, they can drop down. So if you want him to extend it to do like a kick of some kind, I guess, yeah, like some sort of kick thing. It does go out by itself automatically because when you try to do a kicking pose, but you know, there's that. So that's cool. Both legs can do that. Very nice. And it's not loose. It's not like loose to the point where it's bad. So yeah, and then he also has, you know, your usual double jointed articulation, right? So that's really good on the legs. Now, one thing I wish they can improve with the legs is the rotation swivel on these legs. You can see how his knees look like they're facing inward, and that's because there's no die cut down here or some sort of upper thigh swivel. Maybe there is with this like piece in here. I don't really know if that moves or not, or maybe it's just mine is so stiff. But yeah, it's just really, really weird how my copy is like this. If that does move, please let me know. I don't want to break this figure, even though it's like a cheap anime figure. It's supposed to be like budgeted. You know, you still want to take care of your action figures. You don't want to break something that, you know, that probably might not be for the function that you're thinking is supposed to, you know, do in articulation. So I don't want to do anything to break it because, yeah. All right. So that's the articulation. Now we can look at the accessories because this is where the fun part is. So these go into his fists, and all you do is you just push them in. Like they're molded to fit on his fists. This one is meant for his right fist, and I'm going to show how tall that is. It looks pretty crazy, right? Like, it looks really cool. I like the way that came out. And then this other one just goes into this fist, his left one. And now you can have him with the effects. And it looks really cool. And with the serious face, it looks even better. So I really like that they gave you the option to display him like this. And of course, I dropped it. You can put it on the stand. You can get him into some sort of action pose and just have him on your shelf any way you want, posed the way that you see fit. So that is his accessories. I'm going to take those off because the big one actually does kind of make it top heavy for one side of his arm. So there's that. And if you're changing his face plates, it's pretty much just like a figure arts. Like, it's literally, they have taken the methods of how figure art does the face plates, and McFarlane has recently started, you know, doing that too. It seems like every company is now realizing that face plates are the way to go instead of, you know, making head sculpts. But it really depends on the character. I think for some characters, you still have to make an alternate head sculpt. But there he is with the generic face, or not generic face, the default face that he comes with in the packaging. And yes, as you can see, he looks like he's scared. That's the face that I'm getting. And then for the other faceplate, which I have yet to put on, let's find out how that looks on his face. Oh, I don't know what that expression is supposed to be. Is that supposed to be the I'm shocked, I'm surprised? I have no clue what this expression is supposed to be. I like the other one better. the one that's serious, I like this one better. That's the one I'll have on him at all times. I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of funny. Okay, so that's his faceplate. It's pretty simple. Now, if you want to change out his hands, like I said, it is a peg. So all you do is you just slowly pull out, you know, the hand. Just don't use too much force. Then you just peg these other ones in the same way that you took it out. And you are good. So now you can get them into like a pose. And yeah, so his hand is in there. And this looks like he's trying to sing. So yeah, there are a lot of things you could do with how you want to display this figure, with whatever hand gestures you want. And one thing I forgot to mention is that there is articulation down here with the feet. The only reason why I'm not trying to like articulate the feet is because I did see a video where someone had a QC problem where they used the joint and then the entire foot thing fell off or something, like it broke. So I don't know if this copy will have that sort of issue. I don't want to risk it, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But there you have it. There is your look at this Yuji Itadori figure. And I hope I did this review right, because I really don't know what the heck happened in the last like 10 minutes. But yeah, if you enjoyed this review, give it a like. I can be clumsy sometimes of how I do reviews for some of my figures, but that's fine because I am just being me in these videos. And yeah, I guess one last thing we could do is probably just compare them to somebody. All right, here we go. So the last video we made was about Scrap Iron. As you can see, he's a little bit taller than Scrap Iron, so maybe he doesn't scale with Marvel or G.I. Joes or Marvel Legends, but you know, he's right there. It's not too bad of a height difference, I guess. So, yeah. Well, all right. With that said, like I said, if you found this video enjoyable, give it a like. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you can do that as well. You do not have to. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.